Good day, everyone. I am Angeline A. Milanio, along with my groupmates who are Faith Gwinnett Ocampo, Caitlin Baticolon, Jasmine Madla, and Kathleen Doctor. Our lesson for today is all about Kantian Theory. But before we proceed to our discussion, I will give you some reminders about our lesson. Make sure that you will watch until the very end of this video because there will be some cues that you will need to collect. It may appear now, at the middle, or even at the end. And if you collect it wisely, you will comment down below the words that you have encountered. That will serve as your participation in this subject. So sit back, relax, and happy learning!
Good day, everyone. We are the Group 10, and we are here to present to all of you the Kantian Theory, learning objectives. At the end of the topic, students are able to understand the Kantian Theory, determine the role of goodwill in ethics, and understand the right based of Kant.
Do you know who is this person? Kung si Immanuel Kant ang nasa isip mo, tama! Magaling! Ngunit, sino nga ba si Immanuel Kant? He is born in Prussia. He did his early education at a pietist school. He studied theology, mathematics, physics, and philosophy. Siya ay lubos na naimpluwensyahan ng mga tanyag na pilosopo gaya ni Descartes, Locke, at Leibniz. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher and one of the central Enlightenment thinkers. Kant's comprehensive and systematic works in epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and aesthetics have made him one of the most influential and controversial figures in modern Western philosophy. So, the Kantian theory proposed by Immanuel Kant. In his theory, right and wrong is determined by rationality giving universal duties. Ang tama at mali ay nakabatay sa rasyonal na pag-iisip at pagkilala sa pang-universal na mga tungkulin o obligasyon na hindi lamang para sa pansariling kapakanan kundi para sa kabutihan ng lahat ng tao, based in their conformity to these universal duties. Like, for example, telling the truth is generally considered morally right because a world where everyone speaks the truth can be logically and morally consistent, promoting trust and communication. Ginagamit ito upang tukuyin ang moralidad ng isang kilos. Ito ay hindi batay sa mga resulta o konsekwensya ng kilos. Kantianism is non-consequentialist moral theory. Non-consequentialist moral theories is also known as deontological ethics, which focus on the inherent rightness or wrongness of actions themselves rather than the consequence that those actions produce. In contrast to consequentialist ethical theories such as utilitarianism, which focus on the consequences or outcomes of the actions to determine their morality. So, Kantian theory places emphasis on the inherent moral worth of actions based on the principle guiding those actions and the motivation behind them. There is the supreme principle of morality in terms of law, duty, obligation, good and evil are defined. Sa Kantianism, ang kabutihan at kasamaan ay batay sa pagsunod o hindi pagsunod sa moral na batas, tungkulin at obligasyon. Ang kabutihan ay naiuugnay sa pagsunod sa tamang tungkulin habang ang kasamaan ay nagmumula sa paglabag sa mga ito. Halimbawa, ang paglabag sa batas na nagbabawal sa pagnanakaw ay tinuturing na masama ng karamihan dahil ito ay paglabag sa batas at labag sa karapatan ng iba. Rationality and freedom are also central. Para kay Kant, ang tao ay may natatanging kakayahang mag-isip at gumawa ng desisyon batay sa kanilang kakayahan sa paggamit ng kanilang isipan. At ayon din sa kanya, ang tao ay mayroong kalayaan o moral freedom na nagbibigay ng daan upang pumili o magdesisyon base sa kanilang sariling rasyonal na pag-iisip. Ang kalayaang ito ay may kinalaman sa kanilang kakayahang pumili ng mga aksyon na naaayon sa moral na batayan at hindi lamang sa pagtugon sa mga pangangailangan ng kanilang sarili. He thought that acting morally was quite simple, that is, you ought to do your duty simply because it is your duty. Reason guides you to this conclusion. Goodwill, in other words, having the right intention, is the only thing that is good without qualification. So, actions are truly moral only if they have the right intention. In other words, it is based on goodwill.
Now, let's talk about categorical imperative. Categorical imperative, it is a command that we should follow even though hindi mo gusto, hindi mo desire na gawin yon. That equals to principle of universality. Like golden rule, do not do unto others what you don't others do unto you. 'Di ba? Huwag mong gawin sa iba kasi kapag sinabing universality, it's applicable to all moral agents. Ito'y applicable sa lahat ng situation at sa lahat ng tao, 'di ba? The categorical imperative is central concept of Kantian deontological moral philosophy used to evaluate motives for action. Ano ba pag sinabing deontological? Pag sinabing deontological, it focuses on duty and moral. So, meron ditong first formulation. Sinabi dito, act only according to that maxim whereby you can at the same time will that it should become a universal law. So, sinasabi dito, universal law. Ano ba pag sinabing universal law? Universal law is an action that must take place every time a certain situation arise, 'di ba? Kapag dumating yung sitwasyon na 'yon, yun yung dapat nating gawin, 'di ba? Gawin. Sabi dito, example, the deception, according to Kant, lying and deception are under all circumstances, 'di ba? Maraming sitwasyon na pwede tayong magsinungaling. This is because if lying were to become a universal action, kapag na-universalize yung action na 'yon, yung lying, the concept of trust would no longer exist, 'di ba? Wala nang magtitiwala. Imagine kung ang mundo, lahat tayo nagsisinungaling. Lahat tayo kapag dumating tayo sa situation na gano'n, naging inconvenient sa atin or hindi natin gusto para tayo makalusot, maglalay tayo. Yun yung sinabi ni Kant dito. Sinasabi niya, yung categorical imperative, 'di ba? Bawal tayo magsinungaling. Kahit anong mangyari, hindi ka dapat magsisinungaling, 'di ba? Kasi yun yung moral principle. Consider someone wondering if they could break a promise if keeping it become inconvenient. We might formulate the following maxim governing promises. I can break promises when keeping them becomes inconvenient. So the question is, can this be universalized? Kant says no, because making promises then becomes. Diba? Yung definition ng promises is something to keep. So yung maxim na to, it can lead to contradiction, 'di ba? Mas maguguluhan yung tao kaya it cannot be universalized. So, meron dito na nakalagay na dapat natin i-consider, 'di ba? The more general way to understand the principle of universality is to think that we must learning activity always asking the following question. What if everyone did action you are proposing? Paano kapag ginawa ng lahat? Anong magiging itsura ng mundo? Paano kapag ginawa ng lahat na baliin yung mga promises? Paano kapag ginawa ng lahat na magsinungaling? Anong mangyayari sa mundo, 'di ba? What if I were in the other person position? Paano kapag nasa kanya ka naman? Nandun ka sa part na pagsisinungalingan mo, anong mararamdaman mo? So, yun yung concept ng universality. 'Di ba? Kaya siya ginawa. Yun yung sinasabi ni Kant.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathleen Marisigan Bitcolon and I will continue the discussion about what established goodwill. Kant had another way for formulating the categorical imperative that is worth nothing. First example is act only according to that maxim, whereby you can at the same time, that it should become universal law by Kant. The example of deception, according to Kant, Lying and deception are under all circumstances forbidden. This is because if lying were to become a universal action, the concept of trust would no longer exist. Never treat anyone merely as a means to ends, and rather treat everyone as an end in themselves. We shouldn't treat people as a merry means because we are rational agents, and also we are capable to deliberation. Deliberation. We have reason for why we do and what we do. It also follows from this that we are free to questioning our actions and behave autonomously. Also, freedom is understood in terms of reason. As free beings, we shouldn't choose things as a means to an end, but as an end. Um, for the third paragraph, we can understand this by noting an example the slave society. What is wrong with a slave society? Following the above principle, society it is that slave is treated as a means to slave owner ends as an instrument or tool, not as a person. The upshot is that no person interests or rights can be forbidden by another on the majority. Many think that this way for formulating the categorical imperative shows that Kantianism is clearly utilitarianism. For Kantianism, a moral philosophy it is introduced by Immanuel Kant that emphasizes that morality of an action decision is not determined by its consequence, but by the motivation of the doer. For utilitarianism, a moral philosophy introduced by Jeremy Bentham that emphasized that morality of an action and decision as determined by its consequence. Also, for Kantianism, an action should be motivated by goodwill and duty, and the morality of an action is not measured by its consequence. Says, utilitarianism, an action is considered moral and good if it results in providing great happiness for others, regardless of its intentions. Some things to ask about Kantianism. First, it is true that having good intention is the only thing that counts morally. Second, must we always ignore good consequences? The third, it is always wrong to treat people nervy as a means to an end.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jasmine M. Madla, and I will be discussing to you right-based theories of Kant. To start with, we are to act in accordance with a set of moral rights, which we possess simply by being human. This sentence reflects the essence of Kant's right-based moral philosophy. It asserts that individuals are inherently endowed with a set of moral rights solely by virtue of being human. Kant's right-based theory is a moral framework that underscores the significance of acknowledging the rights of individuals. According to Kant, every human possesses certain rights encompassing both positive and negative aspects, solely due to their humanity. These rights can be categorized as either natural or positive rights or conventional or negative rights. So, natural rights or positive rights are inherently moral. For example, giving a charitable donation in order to sustain someone's right to life, shelter, education, and etc. While conventional rights or negative rights is one in which the corresponding duty merely requires refraining from doing something that will harm someone. For instance, the right to life does not require that we give what is needed to sustain life, rather merely which we refrain from taking any action that will take life. Kant's principle in the theory of right posits that the importance lies not only in the outcomes of action, but also in the rationale behind them. This is because, according to Kant, if the intention is malevolent, the outcome is likely to be malevolent as well.
Good day to everyone. I am Kathleen Doctor, and I have two questions here that I'm about to discuss. So, where do rights come from? From nature, from principle of justice or from utilitarian procedures? Okay, so the question here is where the rights come from. Is it from nature, from principle of justice, or from utilitarian procedures? In my own conclusion, rights may come from, first is from nature. In the law of karma, what goes around comes back around. Kumbaga, kung anong ginawa mo sa kapwa mo, yun din ang balik sa'yo. And in other point of view, from principle of justice, rights are given like human rights. Along with this are crimes that have consequences with regards with the crimen that has been done. Kumbaga, kung ang isang tao ay gumawa ng kasalanan na hindi naaayon sa tamang patakaran, ito ay magkakameron ng parusa. Ang next po ay, how do we decide between competing rights? For me, we have to take actions from what path we will choose. For example, from Kant's theory, positive rights and negative rights have their corresponding consequences. So we have to be careful from choosing what competing rights are we in, positive or negative.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something.